Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kurt, and welcome back to Far Lands or Bust. We are here right where we left off with our pressure plate of destiny, whatever that is. Don't remember why I did that, but there it is. Oh, I accidentally built it after failing to craft a boat. Failing to craft a boat indeed. But still use some wooden planks. So while we're here and while we're mostly creeper-free, let's do such things as these, and yoink. And where is my dirt? How convenient. Grab Wolfie. That is east. This is west. That is some extraneous cobblestone, and we are continuing on to the Far Lands in episode 190. 190, guys. Coming up on the big 200. The big 200. But yeah, today in episode 190, we are at $3,461.98 raised for Child's Play charity this season through Far Lands or Bust at farlandsorbust.com. Dead sheep. Dead sheep. Boink. So yeah, thank you for everybody who continues to contribute. You can do that over at farlandsorbust.com, as I said, using the chip-in widget on the home page. I also kind of revamped a little bit the about page, the FAQs. There's a new question in there saying, I get questions, oh, how much have you raised so far for Child's Play charity? So I put up, thankfully, Chip-In keeps an archive of all the archived. It keeps an archive of the archives. Keeps an archive of the old chip-in widgets, so I listed them all there so you can look back and see and keep track of how much we raised every season. And now we're over $85,000 total from Far Lands or Bust from you guys having been raised for Child's Play charity. So that's a great cause. I appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to the future as we continue doing awesome things for the community and helping people out who need it. I actually have a friend on the Twitters. I know some of you who follow me on Twitter might have seen me retweeting, who was... I know sometimes when you donate to a charity or give to this or that or whatever, you don't really see... Yeah, it feels good, and it's good to know where your money's going or where your donations are going, but you don't really see an immediate impact. I have a friend on Twitter I met a long time ago through the NASA social stuff, and she lives in New York, and she was raising money to put on a barbecue for the people who were the hardest hit in New York from Hurricane Sandy in the Rockaways neighborhood. I think it's hardest hit, and a lot of them still don't have power, or their houses have all been condemned, and just madness like that you just wonder, how could this continue to be going on? Get these people help. But they wanted to put on, what little that they could do. They're no giant charitable organization. They're just some people who want to help out. So they scrounged up a bunch of grills and were raising money so they could buy a bunch of food and get these people hot food, because they don't have hot food out there. And they apparently last couple days ago they did it, and they said they had over 200 people in line to grab the careful, Wolfie. Speaking of food, let's feed Wolfie. Waiting in line to get the... Hey, get back here. I'm trying to feed you. Boink. And boink. So that's, little things like that. Any little ways that you can help out. Obviously, like I said, Child's Play charity, you see on their website, you hear testimonials and things like that, of people who've either had kids in hospitals who benefit from being able to feel a little bit more like kids, or just, the little things like I was just mentioning where you can actually stand up and physically help out a situation in your neighborhood. So it's always something, like I said, even before Child's Play charity, I was never too involved in say, fundraisers or volunteering and things like that, and I'm kind of sorry that I wasn't for the first 25 some odd years of my life, unfortunately. But now we're it's becoming a top priority. Let's just say. When you feel like you're doing all right, and I feel like I'm doing all right, it's good to kind of help other people out who might need it more than you. So, regardless, that's the end of the the cheesy help out the world. Let's get the whole MindCrack crew to sing a song for the world. Like what were those? Throughout the 80s, they always had a bunch of those where like Michael Jackson and Sting and a bunch of like sort of famous singers would like get together in a studio and sing like something about the world or something like that. But anyway, Farlands or Bust, episode 190, and MineCon. Speaking of the charity, I said I would go to MineCon because we doubled the charity last season during the flob-athon live stream weekend. MineCon, leaving for MineCon in a little bit over a week, 8 days. MineCon Paris, that is. So, wow, that's really... It's one of the, you know, planning for it for so long, and then suddenly it's right upon us. So, looking forward to that. Although, it's one of those things, like I said, we planned and we scheduled for it a long time ago, but we still... haven't heard much about it. Although we did, if you watched my MindCrack episode, we did get confirmation from Good when he was a member, or a guest rather, on the Shaft podcast. I'm starting to work on my French, guys. On the Shaft podcast, he confirmed that we do have a panel, a MindCrack panel, so that is good news indeed. No further news on that, though, but we'll be waiting and updating you guys. Let me know in the video comments how many of you are planning on going to MineCon. And then, not that I'll be able to do anything with that information, but I'll get a good idea of how many of my viewers are going to MineCon, and I can distribute important information thusly. So yeah, that's looking forward to that. And like I said, we'll let you know. I know there's a lot of people MindCrack going. I should get you guys a finalized list about who's all going. Careful, I love that cactus, Wolfie. And then there's other people going who aren't necessarily part of MindCrack, but I've been, you know, friends with on YouTube or elsewhere. It'd be cool to meet for the first time and hang out. Woof indeed, Wolfie, woof indeed. And I guess since we don't have any additional information for MineCon, I do have a little bit of Minecraft news. Single block of glitched out water there. Minecraft news segment makes its return. Just yesterday, the 12th, Minecraft officially sold 8 million copies to the PC. 8 million copies. 8 million copies of Minecraft has been sold. So that is pretty crazy. Just goes to show it's still strong as it's ever been. It's just kind of a testament, I think, to the game. It's not a game that has a beginning and an end. You know, people were all excited about Skyrim or what was the other one, the Blizzard one that came out. And I'm not saying people aren't playing these games anymore, but they just don't have the same buzz. They get replaced by something else. It seems like Minecraft just keeps getting replaced by more Minecraft. So, Wolfie agrees. Let's cascade. So that's really cool. And also, speaking of kind of separate news in Minecraft, there was a interview with Jens, the main developer over at Mojang for Minecraft now, obviously. There was an interview in PC Gamer UK, which we will discuss in the morning because the sun has set. Boop, boop, boop. Boop, and boop. Some interesting news about the future of Minecraft. So, after a little nap, Don't! I said after a little nap. And Minecraft newsness. Can I make this jump? Ha! No. So yeah, on PC Gamer UK, there's an interview, and they said basically, here's a quote from Jeb. He said, "I think we're getting to the point where everything new I'm thinking of, as in everything new I'm thinking of to put in the game, could probably be better served as a mod instead of an actual something put into the vanilla game." You know, those were square brackets. I inserted that into his quote. So basically what they're planning on doing is switching from this mode, say like the last update, the 1.4 update, where they added witches and the wither skeletons and the wither boss and things like that, and items. Switching from a mode where they're going to kind of stop adding new in-game content like that, and instead focus on the modding API, which has been long talked about and long overdue. But it looks like they're going to shift the focus to leave it up to the community and the modders to make new items, new bosses, new mobs, you know, new features in the game, and then make it through the API a little bit easier for the end user, the player, to add those things to their game as they should so please. So it looks like they're actually, they said, sorry Wolfie, they're going to be completely rewriting the client side of Minecraft from scratch to allow for the modding API, which I think the first step of that was when they combined both the single player and multiplayer. I'm assuming they're going along with the same vein as that, or something like that. They said that it would still be a couple of months before the first initial releases for that version, for the, you know, with the modding API. But it's certainly a very interesting turn of events. Not so much a turn of events, but it's been up until now that it's these updates and snapshots. They're adding, you know, the first kind of major addition was that whole, the adventure update with the dragon, the ender dragon, and that's still, it just seems like they add these things, but they don't add them for any purpose, you know? It seemed like there could have been a dragons mod or something like that that could have fulfilled and been more useful than the dragon that they did add to the game. So it looks like they're going to kind of wrap up that stuff and allow the modding community. And he even, in that interview, he references Seth Bling's map, the Team Fortress 2 map that he made, and how based on that sort of stuff, they've added the command blocks to allow for kind of easier map making and modding. So it's kind of, it's shifting after 8 million sales for the PC. It's kind of shifting from the content creators, Mojang, you know, putting out updates and adding new things to the game, and they're kind of almost handing it over to the community to continue supporting and expanding the game. So that'll be interesting. They've also, something interesting they said they're going to add is a built-in server provider. Like right now, if we want a server, we either have to have somebody like Good, who owns his own server rack or tower or whatever he owns somewhere, to set up from scratch his own server, or you need to purchase it from a kind of a third-party reseller. But you still need to know your way around FTP, usually a command module, a control panel rather. So they're saying they're not trying to put these places out of business. They'll still have their place in the Minecraft community, but they just want to include this. I don't know if they're going to charge for it, or it's just going to be included with your purchase of the game, is the ability to access a already set up multiplayer provider with only about 8 to 10 slots, they said, per server, but kind of focusing on, I think they're noticing, they said in their analytics, that people tend to stop playing the game if they they don't quite know anybody who does multiplayer, or they can't set up their own server, they kind of get done with the single-player side of the game and then move on to something else. So they're trying to make it easier for, you know, the younger people and perhaps the families who don't quite have the technical acuity to set up and run their own server to have the joys of playing Minecraft multiplayer. And I think probably the first kind of initial push of that was allowing the local LAN. You know, you could turn a world into a local LAN world. But of course, obviously not that many people play in the same house on the same network, so that's not the end solution to that. So yeah, it's an interesting development, and I think a good one, because a lot of these, and I think people like Good and other people would agree that some of the recent additions, little bit. I mean, they almost seem like they could be added with mods, like the beacon. That seems like that could have been an item in some sort of grander item pack mod or something like that. It gives you, you know, the buffs when you're around the beacon and things like that. So that's very interesting. It should certainly make situations like, obviously MindCrack is a vanilla SMP server. I'm wondering how the evolution of MindCrack might be affected. Are we going to keep it completely vanilla as it is? And, you know, eventually, if this is the way that Mojang is going to go with Minecraft, eventually there isn't going to be anything else added to vanilla. So are we going to have to turn to mods? You know, we'll have to, as a group, kind of agree upon some mods that add certain things to the game. And how does that work with, certainly a modding API is helpful, but how does that work with a server? Say if you add a mod to a server, does it, you know, you don't have to do anything to your client side or something like that. So certainly worth keeping an eye on, kind of with the approach of MineCon. Obviously last year's MineCon was, the big 1.0 release. This year there isn't really much of something unveiled, I don't think anyway, unless there's something else going on. I'm sure they'll have Cobalt, and maybe they'll have something with Notch's new game, the 10xc 10 squared to the 10th power, or whatever it's called, and we'll see how that goes. But yeah, there's really nothing. There's nothing that's being kept under a velvet blanket that they're going to rip the sheets off and show everybody at this year's MineCon. So interesting Minecraft news indeed. Cow. Indeed. So let's get on with some questions here from loyal Farlanders like yourself. You can ask questions in the comments below. Anything and everything. Minecraft, video games, astronomy. The last episode, my pants, if you want to know about my pants. No, we've already answered that. No more pant talk. Pantalones. Woof. Pantalones de los Muertos. I don't know why. Whenever you say something in Spanish and just follow it up with de los Muertos, it just sounds much more interesting, don't you think? But questions anyway. Carrot272727 asks, how far would you drive to see a solar eclipse in totality? Say you lived 100 kilometers off the mark of totality, would you drive there? Are you going to watch the solar eclipse November 14th, 13th, 14th? That will be happening over Australia and New Zealand. I remembered and I tweeted about it. Has it happened already? I don't know. Yeah, it's like today-ish, tomorrow-ish, there is a total eclipse over Australia. Careful, Wolfie. And it's not going over too much land. The majority of it, the maximum totality, is going to be in the middle of the South Pacific. So it's not going to be one of the most visible of total solar eclipses, but I'll certainly keep an eye on my Twitter feed and the internet to see if there's any images coming out of that. That's always interesting. But if there's a total solar eclipse happening, that is definitely something worth traveling for. I mean, I know there are these people known as eclipse chasers who travel the world to see eclipses. In my astronomy club especially, you'll see a lot. A few people I know traveled specifically to a solar eclipse that was happening in Africa. You know, they went to Egypt and stuff like that. Other people to France and kind of the European side of things. Somebody went... There was another one a couple years ago that happened in the South Pacific, and it was over Easter Island, and somebody went to Easter Island. I'm not quite there yet. I would like to see a total solar eclipse. I did see the partial solar eclipse last May. What little, 10 minutes or so, a little cookie bite out of the sun that I was able to see from my area. But if it was... Basically, I traveled to Arizona to see the transit of Venus. And eclipseness. So that's obviously a more rare happening. But in terms of an eclipse, if there's going to be a total solar eclipse in the continental United States, I will try to make plans to travel there somehow. The next one, I didn't look this up. Is it 2016? The totality is actually happening somewhere in Kentucky, I believe. So yes, I'll definitely, on the map, I'll try to find the pinpoint spot. I think it's on some crossroads in some guy's farm field or something like that, where you can actually... They pinpoint this stuff down to the point where you'll be at the exact dead center of totality. I'm assuming that country road is going to be pretty packed, unless it's cloudy. So yeah, I'll definitely... I'll fly there or drive there or something like that. It'll still be a good show. It won't be a total from here in Chicago, but it's the sort of thing... If the totality is that close and you're at all interested, you should travel to see totality, because I've never seen a total solar eclipse. So yeah, I'll definitely drive. I mean, if there is, I haven't been keeping an eye on any upcoming total eclipses, but I mean, if there is a total eclipse happening somewhere elsewhere in the world, now that I'm after MineCon going to be known as an international world traveler of mystery and intrigue, I should probably, I'd like to take advantage if there is a total solar eclipse happening in Alaska, which I want to travel to Alaska anyway, so that kind of nullifies that point. Or say, I don't know, Mexico or somewhere where I would be okay going. I mean, if this one in Australia is like just barely grazing the edge of the continent. If there was like a real, like, bam, this is a huge solar eclipse in Australia, I'm like, yeah, I'd like to go to Australia. Let's try to check that out if I have the fundage to do such things. So they're frequent enough that you can pick and choose, but they're rare enough in at least your local area that it's worth getting up and traveling to see a total solar eclipse. So looking forward to my first solar eclipse. Sometime soon. I might just have to wait until the one that's I think it's 2016, I could be completely wrong, over the continental United States. But yeah, that will be an awesome experience indeed. Woof! Woof indeed, Wolfie. Woof indeed. VHSBD asked, Kurt, will you be partaking in Movember activities? Had a few questions like this, but Movember is apparently a thing where you're kind of one of those, it's give or take. It's one of those things where, oh, grow a mustache. Don't shave your mustache, guys, throughout November for Movember, and it's, the marketing behind it is for cancer research. Is it prostate cancer or some male-related cancer research and awareness? So you get people who grow a mustache and raise money to go to these research places or the charity that's putting this on. And then you just get the other people who just grow a mustache to say, I'm participating, but they don't actually do anything. Which is all right, I guess, for awareness and stuff like that. If more people know about it, I guess is okay. But it's kind of what do they call it? Slacktivism. It's kind of like retweet this to support XYZ or whatever, or turn your avatar this color for this awareness. It's kind of like, okay, yeah, I see the point you're trying to get across there, but it's actually a little bit on the passive side to do it that way. It would be a little bit better if you said, oh, I'm turning my avatar this color and raising money here, or, you know, something like that. I'm not one to judge. Like I said, I've for the first 3/4 of my life haven't been that involved with charity or volunteering and things like that. But no, I'm personally not taking part in Movember activities. More from an aesthetic standpoint. If you do want to look it up online. There's different groups. I know there's a blog I follow called The Art of Manliness. They have a forum and a Movember team where they're all raising money and growing their mustaches to support the cause. But I'm personally not taking part, mostly because my dad has a mustache, and he has for quite a while. And I'm actually a clone of my dad. You don't know this. No, not literally, but figuratively. People in my family, grandparents, you know, brothers of grandparents and things like that, especially when I was like early 20s, mid 20s, if you compared a picture of me next to my dad at the same age, it's like same person, and people would always comment about that. So I like to, not that I have anything against my dad, I'm just saying, you don't want to look like your dad, and I'm sure girls, you don't want to look like your mom, or somebody say, hey, you look like your mom. It's like, hey, that's not a good thing at all, is it? So I'm not one to grow just a mustache. Like I said, I did have a beard throughout most of the summer, which is a little bit of a backwards concept, but I'm keeping it. I've since brought it back a bit, and I'm keeping it rather just on the closer side. So personally, no. Personally, I'm not. But thank you for the question. FL Racing 84 asked, when you were younger, what was your favorite video game console, and what was your favorite video game for that console? Well, younger could mean a lot of things. I mean, really, really young, we had an Atari 2600, and probably my favorite was Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, which was basically just the side-scrolling thing. You're in the snow speeder, and there's just an endless row of what are those big guys called? Are those the AT-ATs? The Imperial Walkers. And you basically just flew back and forth. It was kind of like a side-scrolling Space Invaders, because the more you killed, the faster they'd come, and the music would you know, it would get faster and faster and faster. And that was probably my favorite to play on the Atari. Wow! 2600. Careful, Lovey. No, he was not careful at all. Well, neither was I, so I can't blame him. So that was probably my favorite game. I liked Frogger on that also. I remember the little... For those of you who don't know, the Atari 2600 had these like really awesome knob switches. They were like switches that you'd probably find in an airplane cockpit. But one of them was the reset. And you could like hold it down and it would like pause the music. So like the Frogger music was dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. So every time you hit the reset button, it would restart that song. So you go dun 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 dun, and then just hold it and annoy your sisters. And so that's what I remember most about Frogger. Frogger. There was also. All right, that was interesting, creepy music, and then a mysterious sapling that exists in a place that it could not have fallen from. Yeah, Wolfie is suspicious as well. Well, not Wolfie, but he's suspecting. He was with me the whole time. He has an alibi. Get up! So there's that. Combat? I think it was called Combat. It was just like a series of different games, and one of them was little tanks that you drove around. Another one was the airplanes that you just flew back and kind of dropped little pixels on your enemies and things like that. So yeah, that was the Atari 2600. I had an NES. I don't know that I really had any favorite games on the NES. I had the PlayStation 1, and I'd have to say the Tomb Raider games were my favorite on the PlayStation 1. And then PlayStation 2... that's a tough call. The Driver games, maybe? I only just recently played Shadow of the Colossus. That was very good, too. But, you know, I can't say... This question is about when you were younger, looking at, like, video game memories, and that was, like, last year. So, that doesn't count, I don't think. Oh, but the sun's going down. That means it's the episode of the end... The end of the episode, rather. I'm trying to find a place to get down out of this... Ooh, careful, Wolfie. Oh, God, I didn't make it. Oh, I made it. Whew. Fell in the ravine here. There we go. All right, this is good. Let's make the hidey hole right here. Careful, Wolfie. I'm gonna have to feed you again, aren't I? And a boop. And a boop. Let's make this hidey hole. And I can thank you for joining me, and I will try to keep you updated as we try to gain more information about MineCon. We'll keep you updated. I'll try to keep you updated about who we can all expect to be with us, and try to give you the best possible way to be following along. If those of you who are going and would like to meet, we'll have plenty of time. As far as we know, the MineCon schedule is kind of short. I think it's just on the 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, like 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it's not like a whole day thing. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of time for mulling about and just meeting and greeting and stuff like that. So keep an eye on the news from that. Obviously the news from the panel that we will be having. Very exciting. And also the news about our Child's Play charity fundraiser, which you can donate to at farlandsorbust.com using the chip-in widget on the home page. The little chip-in button, you click on that. It takes you to PayPal, where you can specify whatever amount. Every little bit counts. And that goes directly to the Child's Play charity PayPal account. And then your little amount goes onto the tally, and we can further get onwards and upwards with our goal. So that is very amazing. Everybody who continues doing exactly that, I appreciate it, and I'm sure the kids in the hospitals around the world appreciate it as well. So, episode 190 in the bag. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for clicking that like button, and thanks so much for continuing to ask me questions in the comments below. My name is Kurt. I will see you next time.